Hey guys, welcome to the Saturday showcase. Get your tags, it's Ginkgo season.
We love Ginkgos. You may know that we used to have MrGinkgo.com. That now redirects you to the Ginkgo part on MrMaple.com. I'm Tim, this is my brother Matt, and we have MrMaple.com, a mail order business that ships directly to your door. We do over 1,000 varieties of Japanese maples, but we also have over 150 varieties of Ginkgos. So today, we're bringing you the Ginkgo Showcase.
We love Ginkgo trees for their form, texture, and that amazing golden yellow fall color. Ginkgos bring so much to the landscape. I joke about it being Ginkgo season, but this is the time of the year when we get all those phone calls and text messages and pictures and emails, and people send us a picture and they say, what is this in my neighbor's yard? This is insane, I've got to have this. And more often than not, it's a Ginkgo tree in perfect fall color. And so today we're gonna be talking about 5 Ginkgos. Check out our video on Ace Japonicums. We did a similar type thing with that. And if you like this, maybe we'll do a part 2 to the Ginkgo series, talking about 5 more Ginkgos, maybe even include some different traits in there. What we have today is a diverse mix and kind of an intro into Ginkgo collecting.
Now, Ginkgos, they make excellent companion plants to Japanese maples. If you're a Japanese maple fan, you follow our channel, Ginkgos have that highlighter yellow. And there aren't many Japanese maples that go to that same highlighter yellow that a Ginkgo does. And so that highlighter yellow contrasts so well with a lot of the oranges and reds you may be getting with some of your other Japanese maples. And with so much diversity in Ginkgo, there's something cool that you can use in your landscaping yard. I love Ginkgos because they're salt tolerant, they're pollution tolerant, they're heat tolerant, they're drought tolerant. They're simply easy to grow out there in the landscape and garden.
I mean, they've been around since prehistoric times, and for good reason. They're tough as nails. These plants are gonna work zones 3 through zone 9 we're talking about here today. One of the main differences of these are gonna be leaf shape, texture, and shape overall. So there's a lot of unique differences going on with Ginkgo. One of the beautiful things is they have very consistent, similar fall colors. So they all have that capability to get that amazing golden yellow that we love with Ginkgos. You see a few here on the table that have already changed, and a few that have been in a different greenhouse that might not have changed yet. We want to get a little bit of different styles here going for you so you can see how diverse of a group Ginkgo biloba can be.
We love this plant. The one thing I want to make sure I always tell you about Ginkgos is to give them some garden lime. We're not talking about lime like the fruit. We're talking about garden lime like you put out on your grass. When you add that to the soil, it allows them to take up water and nutrients more efficiently. They do prefer to be more alkaline in the first few years at least while they're getting established. And then you're going to get that consistent growth rate that you should be getting with each of these cultivars.
And you can't over lime it. I mean, you want to go within moderation, but it's not uncommon for us to put 2 to 3 tablespoons of pelletized garden lime around a 1 gallon size Ginkgo, even in the container, and we notice significant increase in growth rate even that season. Now, there's been some seasons here at the nursery where we've lined them spring, summer, and fall, and we've seen a far accelerated growth rate in those Ginkgos. It helps them take up energy more efficiently from that fertilizer, but they also love that alkalinity of the soil. So the key thing with Ginkgos, good drainage and a little bit of alkalinity, you're gonna have great success. You often hear people say Ginkgos are super fast growing or Ginkgos are super slow growing. And the difference there may be the alkalinity in their soil. So that simple tip, pelletized garden lime, makes a huge difference for growing Ginkgo trees. We hope that helps you and gives you some confidence for growing these. We're gonna get into a couple different types, but Ginkgos are an amazing, unique plant that brings that prehistoric-like feel to the landscape. They're an easy plant to get kids involved with because they have that look that maybe a dinosaur interacted with this. It has that fossil
And dinosaurs
record.
did interact with Ginkgos.
And there's fossil records of it, pretty much all over the world. So there's something that's been around for so many years, and it just feels like a relic a little bit, like you have that ancient interaction with it. It makes it so interesting, and it makes it just a fun plant.
Hey Matt, were Ginkgos native to the United States?
Well, there are some fossil records in Henderson County of Ginkgo trees here. So if you go back far enough, yes, they are a North Carolina native.
It's crazy. Ginkgos are such an amazing plant. We're gonna, Ginkgos, they make sure to give them partial to full sun. For more information on Ginkgo care, check out our video. We have a whole video on Ginkgo care if you want to learn more about growing Ginkgos. But we've got some great selections out here today. We may have multiple parts of the showcase where we highlight more and more Ginkgo selections. First, we'll start off with the classic. We've got Ginkgo biloba Autumn Gold.
Now, Ginkgo biloba Autumn Gold is one of your quintessential upright male Ginkgos that has a classic upright Ginkgo shape. From my understanding, the original one of these is on the University of Chapel Hill's campus. I've drove by that tree and almost went out of the road before. It's on the same road as the old well. I'm driving down through there and I've almost just like run out of the road looking at the fall color on that original Autumn Gold. Now, I've heard people say it can be female. I've never seen the original one ever be female. It is distinctly a male for us. I think there can be some confusion. Sometimes people can get understock too that can get mixed up, but I've never seen the original one seed. It is a phenomenal golden yellow upright ginkgo that has an upright ovate shape, very awesome in its appearance. Now, I love this one for its growth rate. It's not uncommon for autumn gold to put on up to 2 feet of growth a year once established. This one we typically list at 20 foot even in 10 years. Again, lime them. That lime's gonna help a ton.
Now, I went to UNC Chapel Hill, where the original was at. That may be one of the reasons I love the color yellow. Every fall, walking by it, going to class, definitely a spectacular time out there. Just something cool to go by and be like, wow, every time. But an amazing plant. And like Matt talked about, there are some people who sell autumn gold, but really what they're selling is a ginkgo seedling.
Right. Sometimes, just like with blood good, people will sell a ginkgo seedling and then it'll become autumn gold because that's one of the most classic.
And it has gold fall color.
Yeah.
And so
that has gotten mixed up in the trade, similarly to blood good, but the only true form of autumn gold is a grafted form.
And so whenever you're getting an autumn gold, you want to make sure it's grafted. All of ours on MrMaple.com are all the correct grafted form of Ginkgo biloba autumn gold. And it's an amazing upright that's going to give you that yellow fall color. And it's a classic male introduction that really has a nice upright shape. And it makes a really nice large tree, typically reaching in that 20-foot range in 10 years, growing about 2 feet of growth per year once it's established, if you're giving it that lime, so that the alkalinity of the soil can be correct for it to really take off and grow.
Now, next up on the table, we have Ginkgo biloba Jade Butterflies. Now, this one is a nice upright male with a little bit more density going on to it. This one's in that 10 to 12 foot range. It's perfectly named because each leaf has that butterfly style foliage. Each little leaf looks like an individual butterfly. It has your quintessential classic ginkgo leaf. What you think of when you're making ginkgo jewelry and you're seeing it in earrings, it's that classic rounded leaf. And that's exactly what you get with Jade Butterflies.
I like it because while autumn gold is a little bit larger and a little faster growing, Jade Butterflies is a little slower growing and a little denser. We're talking about a tree that's going to get about 10 to 12 feet in 10 years. So you're going to get slightly more than a foot of growth per year once it gets established, but you're going to get a lot more density to it. So it's not going to be as open and as airy as autumn gold will be, but it'll often be very dense and compact, giving it some really nice shape and density out there, but also giving you that bright yellow fall color you love with ginkgos.
Now, Jade Butterflies has a nice emeraldy green to jade color throughout the spring and summer, but as you can see, it lights up the fall with that classic golden yellow ginkgo color. It's a very nice tree for someone who's looking for a mid-sized upright male. Makes a great container plant or in the ground. I love it in the ground, just letting it fill out to its nice rounded canopy, and it makes a really nice mid-size upright. It's not going to reach those heights like autumn gold, but it's going to be right in the middle for ginkgo growth. I would consider it a medium-sized ginkgo and excellently colored, excellently shaped. It's probably one of the quintessential trees for landscapers. A lot of people are looking for this ginkgo because it makes just a kind of a perfect shape there in the landscape.
Yeah, it's an amazing plant. Next up, we've got Ginkgo biloba Saratoga. Now, Saratoga was found by the Saratoga Research Station in California. And the thing that makes Saratoga very unique is this is also a large upgrowing ginkgo, a fast-growing ginkgo, typically reaching about 15 to 20 feet in height in those 10 years. But the thing that makes it really unique is the leaf shape. And it has such a unique leaf shape that isn't as wide as your typical ginkgo leaf, but on the new growth, it can be heavily dissected. So it can have two different leaf shapes going on the same plant. It's not a reversion, it's nothing to worry about. The new growth is more dissected, and then as it matures, it does go to a very fan-like shape that is more narrow than your typical ginkgo leaf.
Now, any ginkgos can be referred to as maidenhair, but I've heard this specific one referred to as maidenhair for that unique style foliage. It makes a great palette for that bright golden yellow fall color, and a nice upright with a fairly full habit. This one typically has a very nice sized canopy to it for its height.
Yeah, and this one is one that we've seen and grown in so many different circumstances, and it's always a tree that's very hardy and easy to grow. And that's one of the reasons Saratoga was selected by the Saratoga Research Center. That maidenhair type foliage, like you're talking about, is extremely unique and different and really stands alone with Saratoga. There's not many other ginkgos that have something that's even close to being the same as Saratoga. And this one really stands out from the crowd.
Now again, ginkgos are going to work zones 3 through 9. The key there being good drainage on these. Saratoga is very unique in that often you get a very full size leaf without that separation in the middle. Now I heard a wives' tale one time that was very interesting. In fact, it was told to me in Japan, and they had said, well, if it's going to have that separation in the middle, that's the pants, that's a male ginkgo. And if it doesn't have a separation in the middle of the leaf, that's the dress, it's a female ginkgo. Well, that doesn't hold up at all. I can go ahead and tell you, I can dispel that with the cultivars we grow right away. Saratoga is distinctly an upright male though. Classic shape for that one, and I love its rounded canopy. It definitely adds a lot as far as what an upright male ginkgo can be.
Yeah, love that plant. Definitely a plant. Still gives you that bright yellow fall color with a very unique and very different leaf.
So moving along, let's talk about a dwarf. I love dwarf ginkgos. They're some of my favorites we grow. We have Ginkgo biloba troll.
This is a plant great for a fairy garden, great for smaller places in the garden, great for containers. I mean, you can do so much with the dwarf ginkgo because they give you everything you love about these larger ginkgos, but you can fit them in a smaller space.
Now, troll kind of has that funky look to it. One of the best ways I've ever heard it described is like Shrek's ear. It's got that weird curling to it, which gives it that ruffle that makes it super unique and interesting. It gives it a rounded, bubbly appearance to it, and its dense habit makes it ideal for container garden. This is also another one that's often used to add that splash of deciduous fall color into a conifer garden. It's a great way to get that neon intensity in a small area garden. Now with any of our ginkgos, they do like to be in a little bit of sun. You want to give them at least 4 hours of sun for their best growth rate. Leaving a ginkgo in heavy dense shade, they'll be a little bit more emerald color, but they'll be a little smaller long term.
Yeah, and this is one of those plants that is just spectacular. I love, like Matt talked about, it has that sort of cupped, a little more appearance looking like Shrek's ear. That gives it a real bubbly-like appearance, especially as this makes that sort of rounded ball shape that it often will do. Really, it gives that really nice density to it. And then when this thing turns to that bright yellow fall color, it just lights up even the smallest of spaces.
Hey, it makes a great gift if you want to troll your favorite gardener. Send them a troll. It's a great way to be a troll by sharing a troll. It's one of our favorite ginkgos. Kids love it too in the garden. My daughters often will come out and check on a troll or a plant that has a unique character name like that. It's one of those fantasy names that fits into that fairy garden, but it's also something that captures the imagination of children, and that's so important with gardening. And you're gonna get that grandchild or that baby to go look at a troll every single time because it's a troll. It's already got that unique life to it going on, and so kids are gonna remember that. They're gonna be like, hey, let's go see what the troll's doing today, right?
Yeah. So lastly, we're gonna talk to you about the most lace leaf. If you thought about a weeping lace leaf version of a ginkgo, that's what we've got here with Weeping Wonder. This is a plant that will make you wonder because it's so unique and so different.
Yeah, I've seen this one sold overseas as Mutant Weeper. The tree actually originated in the United States, and Weeping Wonder is the correct name on this one. Mutant Weeper is synonymous. It's the same plant from what I'm told. I always went to my ginkgo knowledge with the late Dennis Dodge. He was a great mentor to us for growing ginkgos, and he told me specifically that Mutant Weeper and Weeping Wonder were the same plant.
I love this plant because you can get some of your traditional ginkgo leaves. You can get some extremely divided leaves, and then you can also get almost like tube-like leaves on this plant as well. Every plant leaf on this is very different and very unique, but you get that weeping habit.
Right.
And that just makes this plant great for those smaller spaces in the garden. It is a slower growing one, and it is a dwarf weeping selection. And again, this is the most lace leaf selection that we have on ginkgos.
I love it being referred to as a lace leaf. I think it's a great way to look at this one. A great one for a container garden as well if you want that uniqueness of a ginkgo, but in a compact garden. This is a great candidate for that. It definitely stands out amongst ginkgo for that stringier foliage. I like that stringier, weirder foliage going on in there. It gives it such a unique color, especially when it hits into peak fall color, and you've got that stringier lace leaf type growth growing on. It's a very unique plant, one that typically is about 5 to 6 foot in the landscape, so it's a smaller overall habit. It does get about equally as wide and a more of a low weeping habit to it, so it fits in nice spaces, pairs very well with lace leaf Japanese maples as well.
So these are 5 pretty cool ginkgos, and you see there's already diversity in all of these. You know, a lot of people knew that there were male ginkgos and there were female ginkgos, but we've got diversity from height, density, size, leaf shape, dwarf, and a weeping selection.
Yeah.
And that's just to start the ginkgos. I mean, we've got 150 ginkgos here at Mr. Maple, and we try to do everything we can to get ones that are really unique and really different and make them available for you.
Hey, we hope you enjoy this deep dive and just a starter into basically an intro to collecting Ginkgo biloba cultivars. These are some really interesting ones to start with. Like Tim said, we've got a huge collection of Ginkgo, so we can go down this rabbit hole even further if you want. Don't forget to lime your Ginkgo. I know that sounds like something repetitive, but it really, really goes a long way. I had someone call up, you probably heard me tell this joke if you've heard our calls before about Ginkgos, but I had someone say, I've squeezed the rind all over the plant, or I've squeezed the juice all over the foliage, should I bury the rind now? And I'm like, you should go ahead and make it a margarita at this point, but that's not the lime we're talking about. Pelletized garden lime, it's like $4 a bag at most of your box stores. That's gonna make a world of difference on the growth rate for your Ginkgo.
We really appreciate you watching today's video. Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.